Sure, let's talk more about this, Peter, now with South Carolina Senator and Republican presidential candidate Lindsey Graham. He opposes this Iran deal. Senator, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning, Senator.
Thank you.
Diplomats will tell you sign of a good deal is nobody is happy. Do you think the Iranians look too happy this morning?
Well, when the Iranians tell you this is a win-win, it's probably not. My biggest problem is that we've taken the largest state sponsor of terrorism, the people who overran our embassy, who've killed hundreds of Americans. We've given them billions of dollars, and they can use the money any way they would like. You might as well write a check to Assad, Hezbollah, Hamas, because that's where the money's going. We're going to give them more weapons at the passage of 5 years, regardless if they change their behavior. We took a very dismantled approach to their nuclear program and ensured they're on the path to become a member of the nuclear club. And Arabs are going to go get their own weapon. You're creating a nuclear arms race. You're infusing the largest state sponsor of terrorism with more money and more weapons. Not a good deal.
Secretary Kerry, a longtime colleague of yours in the United States Senate, said yesterday opponents of this deal have proposed no viable alternative. You've said we should have kept the interim deal and wait for the next president. What makes you think that a President Lindsey Graham would have any more luck than President Obama with Iran?
I'll tell the Iranians you're not going to get a penny as long as you're the largest state sponsor of terrorism. I'll tell the Iranians we're not going to lift the UN arms embargo until you stop toppling your neighbors. I would make sure that you would never leave inspections, take inspections away as long as they were the largest state sponsor of terrorism.
Secretary Kerry says that sounds good. That's a good soundbite, but ultimately it's fantasy. You look at someone like Ronald Reagan, did a nuclear deal with the Soviets, didn't require them to renounce communism.
You know what's a fantasy is to believe that the Ayatollah was building a power plant, not a bomb. A fantasy is to believe that this deal will not lead to a nuclear arms race in the Mideast. A fantasy is to believe that when they chant death to Israel, they're just kidding. This is the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II, where the Jewish people were almost wiped out. Now you've given their chief antagonist, the Ayatollah in Iran, a pathway to a nuclear weapon. You've enriched him, more weapons to wreak havoc on the region and putting us at risk. This is a terrible deal. Anybody could have done better, and you have taken a can of gasoline and thrown it on a fire as far as I'm concerned.
Senator Graham, you and your colleagues in Congress now have 60 days to review this deal. The president says he'll override, he will veto any measure that you take to eliminate this deal. Are you going to be able to find votes? Are you going to get Democrats on board? You know Democrats will go against the president?
Number one, 8 years from now, they can build the largest missile they'd like to build without any consequence. I'm going to introduce legislation with Democrats to put sanctions on their missile program, saying they can't get new technology until they stop becoming the largest state sponsor of terrorism. I think there are a lot of Democrats who say they support Israel. This is your chance. Because when they say death to Israel, I think they literally mean it, and you're about to give them the capability to enact it. I do believe that this is a destabilizing event in world history, and the more you know about this deal, when the Arabs start building their own weapon, and they will, a lot of members of Congress will say, I don't want my fingerprints on that.
Almost out of time. Got to ask you about presidential politics. I don't know if you read the polls, but Donald Trump is atop the polls these days, even beating Jeb Bush, the front runner in the most recent one. What does that say about your party?
I think he's riding a wave of just outlandish behavior that there's some people in the Republican Party like hearing that all the illegal immigrants, for the most part, are rapists and drug dealers, and some of them may be good, and I think the overwhelming majority of Republicans don't like that rhetoric. I think he's riding a wave, and if you ask me, is this man ready to be commander-in-chief? Absolutely not. He says he's going to charge the Mexican government $100,000 for every immigrant that comes across the border. We live in the most complicated, dangerous times in the world, and he's a wrecking ball when it comes to policy, and the way he's engaged the public is hurting the Republican Party at a time we have a chance to do better.
Senator Lindsey Graham, always good to get your street talk.
See you, Senator.
A lot of variety of issues. Thank you so much.